Hey there, welcome to the Uplift, the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes. We got a great show for you, and among our cast of characters today, a 100-year-old war veteran who left behind no surviving family members, but did leave behind a heroic story. Also, a group of men from Texas who traveled thousands of miles to help Ukrainians heal. And a nurse who offered to give up an entire month's salary to help Ukrainians, and the boss who had an even bigger idea. Plus, a mom who has cared for more than 700 kids, you heard that right, and the mysterious dog that ended up in a strange couple's bed, how she got there, and what the couple did next. What would you do? Plus, our most heartwarming videos of the week. You're watching The Uplift. Hey there, welcome to The Uplift. I'm Tony DeCopel. We have a certified uplifting show for you today, and we're going to start with our most heartwarming videos of the week, starting with this one. A video taken by Tambria Curry in Clarksville, Tennessee. She looked outside her window, and she saw this.
Oh, the neighborhood kids trying to teach my baby how to ride the bike with no training wheels, and I think it's just the cutest thing. That is so cute.
That is Tambria's 7-year-old Michael, who appears to have some good friends in the neighborhood. I think it's one of the cutest videos I've ever seen as well, Cambria. Look at that. I hope he got it in the end. I'm sure he did. Good friends like that. All right, this next video comes to us from Australia and is also filmed through a window because the parents of Tubbs the dog noticed the same couple passed every day and always greeted Tubbs. They said they felt like they had followed this couple's entire journey from the very beginning, and it looks like that is all thanks to Tubbs, who has become a friendly face to them on their daily walks. Look at that. It's a growing family as well. Up next, another dog. This one, a canine named Ghost, who was being sworn in as a police dog for the Glynn County, Georgia Police Department. There he is. He could not contain his excitement.
What? Might want to face the other way. Okay. No.
There you go.
No.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Ready? All right. No, not me. Here. Repeat after me. Officer Ghost. I, Ghost, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and statutes of the state of Georgia, and the ordinances of the County of Glynn. I will faithfully discharge my duties fairly and impartially, and as a police officer of Glynn County, so help me God.
I mean, how sweet is that? I think they do train those dogs for just about everything, but maybe not that. Way to go, Ghost. Congratulations. The newest officer. All right, we got yet another dog story for you. This one about a hero dog named Patron. This mind-sniffing dog in Ukraine has helped detect more than 200 devices. He's a little Jack Russell Terrier, if you're wondering, and he's proven to be a big help during the war with Russia there in that country. Thanks to him, and thanks for his service, Ukraine's President Zelensky has awarded him a medal, both to him and to the owner, for good measure. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau happened to be there when this was happening because he had a meeting with Zelensky, but unfortunately, he did not have any dog treats handy on him for Patron. The dog has become very well known. Got to get a new chief of staff if you don't have any dog treats on an international visit like that. I kid. The dog has become a real national hero in Ukraine, and rightfully so. Congratulations. All right, now to a group of heroes in the U.S. From one hero to another. When a driver lost control of her car on a busy sidewalk in South Florida, several Good Samaritans sprang into action. Take a look at this. The driver of that vehicle had a medical emergency, and the car was still engaged and rolling. One person tries to stop it. When other people noticed that person needed a hand, they got out and tried to make a difference as well. And in the end, one neighbor after another in that area, they managed to stop that vehicle. Everyone was able to get out safely. The Boynton Beach Police Department released a video to identify these brave strangers, and it has. The reunited 7 Good Samaritans with the woman they saved. They were all honored for their brave actions that day. It's a beautiful one. All right, a lot of moms are used to getting macaroni necklaces from their kids. One mom from California was shocked, though, by her son because of what he won her for Mother's Day. CBS Los Angeles' Michelle Geely has our story.
You like your diamond?
Yeah, it's years now.
What should I do with it?
You got their faces in there, too.
Keep it?
Not many kids can say they got their mom a diamond for Mother's Day. But the poem this Orange County sixth grader wrote about his mom topped the list in the Why Mom Deserves a Diamond contest.
Like ripples on the shore, made of waves, washing away worries while adding memories. Her love is singing like sweet, sweet melodies.
The 12-year-old Rancho Santa Margarita student got the idea to participate from his teacher at St. John's Episcopal School. She encouraged her class to write a poem about Mom, and Jason's sparkled.
It was amazing. But I always think his writing is amazing. He doesn't think he's a good writer, but in my opinion, he is.
Jason Ross, the 2022 Diamond winner.
It's become a tradition for competition founder and Santa Ana jeweler Mike Watson to award the diamond to mother and child right before Mother's Day.
Diamond Mike Watson started the competition 30 years ago to honor his adoptive mom and the birth mom he never knew. During that time, he's given away more than 18 carats of diamonds to kids who've written about their moms.
And every time your mom looks at this diamond, Jason, who will she think of?
Me, I hope.
Of course.
And what else will she think of when she sees that?
My love for
And
you.
all the words that you said,
Yeah.
which is worth a million times more than the diamond itself, right?
Jason's mom will wear the diamond close to her heart.
I think I'm going to put it into a necklace because I think that would be something that I can wear all the time.
Jason Ross admits this is the first time he's tried in earnest to craft a poem.
I don't like writing that much. I do love reading, but yeah, poetry is not my thing. I guess it is now, but.
I guess it is now. Yeah, keep writing. You can win more diamonds. Well done, little guy. All right, coming up, we're going to introduce you to another mom. This one, 85, and over the years, she has cared for not 7, not 70, 700 children. What? Plus, the heroic World War II veteran who had no remaining family members when he died, but did have a story that needed to be told. Stick around. You're watching The Uplift. Mother's Day, of course, is a celebration for most people, but for people who did not grow up with a mom in their lives or a mom figure, it can be hard. They can face loneliness and sometimes more responsibility to care not for themselves, but for other younger siblings. Well, one woman is on a mission to give maternal love and a maternal bond to everyone who might need it. Janet Shamlian has her story.
She's not much more than a kid herself. But Adriana Norfleet, without her mother in the picture, has long been a caregiver for her family, including a sister with cerebral palsy.
I have 5 siblings, and I'm the oldest out of all of us, and I always felt like I'm alone, like I always have to take care of them by myself.
But the teen says she's felt less alone the last 2 years, thanks to a friend she describes as an older sister. Tregill Wade Johnson, who is the big sister of former NBA superstar Dwayne Wade, and who she helped raise when their mom was absent from their lives as children.
When you don't have that one person who birthed you, it is a different type of loneliness.
Wade Johnson wanted to help other young women feeling that, starting the mentoring group America's Big Sisters, and becoming just that to Jalea Henderson Elliott.
How do you think her presence in your life has enhanced your life?
It showed me that even without my mother, I can be successful.
Wade Johnson mentors dozens of young women, a connection that's especially important this time of year.
Mother's Day is a big deal for me because I did not have her.
That wound for you is still there.
Every girl will always want their mom.
Now ensuring others they're not alone.
A long day. Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece, Janet. Thank you very much. When Eugene Dednam died at 100 years old, few people knew a lot about him, and that's a shame because he's a World War II hero with a special story worth telling. Although he had no surviving family members, he left an impression on others who shared his story with our Nikki Batiste.
A crowd of strangers honored Army veteran Eugene Dednam.
One of Eugene's requests when he passed was to be buried in his military uniform.
A uniform that waited in his closet for 77 years. Dednam served in a segregated military during World War II.
Our Father.
But his service was all but forgotten at the time of his death.
Well, I wanted to make sure that he had a proper send-off.
Seated next to the war hero's casket was his neighbor, Deshaun Hicks. The two had a 10-year bond.
He was like a grandfather to me. He always talked to me about goodwill, good intent, having compassion for others.
He had just turned 100 years old.
Yes. When he turned 100 years old, I was there to knock on his door and say, "Congratulations, you did it." And he would laugh and grin.
Despite being a quiet man, Hicks says Dednam played jazz music loudly every Sunday.
I think he wanted the world to know that he served and how much an ordinary person can make such a big difference.
Eugene Dednam, an extraordinary life.
Extraordinary indeed. Nikki, thank you. Coming up, the group from Texas that traveled to Poland and what they brought with them to help Ukrainians heal. Plus, the nurse and doctor helping Ukraine from their own medical practice. And the dog who snuck into bed with a couple strangers, how she got there, and what the strangers did next. We'll explain. Among the people who have flown overseas to help Ukrainians are a group of North Texans who traveled to Poland to help those who had fled Ukraine because of that war there with Russia. But their mission isn't about just getting them housing and food, it's about healing. Brooke Katz from our CBS Dallas Fort Worth station has their story.
Help, hope, healing, all part of the mission for Texas Baptist men.
We've tried to overcome the evil with the good that we do, and so it's a blessing, but sometimes it hurts.
For the last 7 weeks, their team, including Robert Watson, has worked to help Ukrainians forced from their homes by war, ministering to more than 50,000 people.
We're not just looking at food, or we're not just looking at housing or where they need to go, but we're also looking at their well-being, their emotional and spiritual well-being.
The volunteers have distributed more than 300 tons of supplies across Ukraine and Poland. They've sent 100,000 meals to Ukraine and helped financially support 5 shelters in both countries.
One day last week, we got 100 refugees in one night. Sometimes we only get 10 or 12. In the early days, we were getting 200 and 300 a day. And all of them come with a story. The story is different, but some are extremely sad.
Now, as they prepare to head home, Watson says it's an experience he'll never forget.
One of our battle cries over the course of history, and I think probably every native Texan knows, we always say, "Remember the Alamo." But about 2 days into my work here, that cry became very different for me. It became, remember the Ukrainians, remember Ukraine. And I tell people, if it were over today, at best, they would have a long trip back home. So we should remember the Ukrainians. We should remember to pray for them.
And of course we do. A nurse in California was looking for a way to ease the suffering of Ukrainians, staying on the subject, and was willing to give up a month's salary to do so. When her boss found out, she had a different idea for how their medical practice could give back. CBS San Francisco's Kit Doe has more.
Like so many of us, Sasha Mozichuk was looking for a way to ease the suffering of her family and countrymen in Ukraine. Sasha came up with the idea to ask her boss, Dr. Kamakshi Zeidler, to buy professional-grade medical supplies and that Sasha would pay for it herself with 1 month of her nurse's salary.
And which to me just seems crazy.
It's just a month's pay.
It's just a month's pay, but I mean, I knew that we could do more.
It turns out during the early days of the pandemic, Dr. Zeidler amassed a storage unit full of surgical supplies.
We definitely stockpiled a few times over.
Syringes, gowns and gloves, IV fluids, cleaning wipes and disinfectant, all told $20,000 worth.
We've kind of come through our local needs, getting through COVID, and so there's another place where that can be put to good use.
It was packed onto a truck, piled onto 6 pallets with a total weight of more than 3,000 pounds. The challenge now, how to get it all onto the front lines of war-torn Ukraine.
Do you have experience shipping things?
Absolutely none.
We do now.
Yeah.
What you do now?
We'll learn, yes. So this is our, what we call it, back storage.
Leon Kogan is one of the leaders of Hearts for Ukraine, a local Bay Area group made up of hundreds of volunteers who seem to have cracked the code on how to get supplies into the country. They partnered with the Ukrainian consulate to get a monthly list of most urgent items.
We're really doing it, pinpointing donations. When somebody's requesting it, we're trying to fulfill it and deliver it to them who actually request it.
Over the past several months, they've built relationships with trucking companies and airlines and have developed a network of volunteers on the ground in Ukraine who make last-mile deliveries while dodging Russian bombs and missiles.
I have to give it to all the volunteers there in Ukraine that are really willing to risk their lives.
Hearts for Ukraine gets photos of the goods while in transit and pictures of the donations once delivered. The group got confirmation that the medical supplies from Aesthetics made it into Ukraine sometime Monday.
Put smiles on their faces, and it makes a huge difference.
Every little bit.
Every little bit helps.
Coming out of the ashes of COVID and now seeing the way that this Silicon Valley community came together, I do have a lot of hope for human nature.
I do as well. Coming up, the mom who had a little extra love to give, so she took in a kid, or 700. Not even joking. Plus, the lost dog who ended up somewhere very odd. That's a stranger's bed. How did that even happen? We'll tell you. That's coming up. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and feeling an extra and unusual body in your bed. Just imagine it. That's what happened to one couple from Tennessee who woke up to find a strange dog lying next to them, which I think is somehow worse than a person. They had no clue who the dog was, how the dog got inside the house, how it got into their bed, or why, but they did find out. Caitlin O'Kane has more.
Imagine waking up to an intruder in your bed. That's what happened to Julie and Jimmy Johnson. But the stranger in their bed wasn't a burglar. She was actually pretty cute.
I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, and I noticed a dog was in the bed, but our dogs are always in the bed, so I didn't panic about that or think anything about it. I just got back in bed, went to sleep, and as the sun was like coming through the curtains, my husband woke up and realized that the dog in between us was not our dog. I roll over and me and my husband lock eyes, and sure enough, it is not our dog. It was Nala. And, the story just kind of unfolded from there.
Julie was at first worried maybe someone else was also in their house.
But she soon realized it was just a calm dog who was probably missing from her family.
We knew that she was of absolute no harm to us or our dogs, and she was just looking for a safe place. So it totally turned to like a comical, let's take some photos with Nala, post it on Facebook just to try to find her mom, and we've gone to the dogs.
Julie's Facebook post about the peculiar guest went viral, and fortunately, the post made its way to Nala's parents. Her family had lost her while on a walk.
And she slipped her collar and ran off. So she'd been missing since mid-afternoon on Saturday. And then I guess as she'd made her way about 2 miles towards our house, and then when the storm rolled in and the thunder started, Nala just came to us at the refuge.
The next day, her parents were on their way to pick her up from the impromptu sleepover.
They were absolutely not surprised. They were like, she is a bed hog. She snores like an old man. We're sorry. We're on our way to get her. They thought it was hysterical. Once they were super thankful that my husband, Jimmy, and myself did not get angry with Nala.
Nala may have chosen the Johnsons because they have 3 other dogs, and seeking refuge in their home felt safe. Whatever it was, her bold move to get in their bed made her a whole new pack of friends.
We invited Nala and her moms over for ice cream and treats and a puppy play date in our yard. The 4 of us cannot even believe the attention that this story has gotten and how one dog has brought the 4 of us together and the 8 of us, 4 dogs and 4 humans, into a hope of friendship.
I'm going to go ahead and declare that an Uplift classic. Caitlin O'Kane, that's a great story. Tough one to follow, but we do move on today to introduce you to Thalia Thornton. She's a mom who had a little extra love to give, so she cared for, this is the one, not 7, not 70, 700 kids, enough to get recognized by the governor of New Jersey for giving those kids the love they and all children deserve. Mark Strassman with the story.
Thalia Thornton has a photo album of her foster children. It's every wall of her 5-bedroom house.
I had over 700.
700 kids.
Love is the greatest thing in the world. You give a child love, and you can see the improvement in their life.
Angela Alora is a retired state nurse. For 50 years, she says, New Jersey sent Thornton its most fragile foster kids, abused, medically needed, unwanted.
They could call her at any time of the day or night if they needed an emergency placement. And believe me, that happened not infrequently.
I never said no. I could never say no to a child that was in need. You need to just pour on love. Let it flow like a river. Let it flow.
Thornton, now 85, stopped taking kids in 2017. Many now have families of their own and keep in touch with the woman they always called Granny.
How many people typically call on a Mother's Day?
I would say more than 25.
Wow.
And I didn't forget Granny. I could never, never forget you.
How could they? How could anyone?
That's a great story, too, and I'm loving the tie-dye. What a great way to end the show. I guarantee that, well, this was, I'm not going to say I hope this brightened your day and lifted you up. I'm sure that it did. If it didn't, make an appointment with your cardiologist. You got to get a checkup. Stay with us for next week's a whole new edition of Uplift. More good news stories. I'm going to go find some now. Thank you.